Rembert, I would like to ask you how you think when you draw, so that my students can look at the level that you're working and be encouraged that they too may someday be able to draw like you.
I'm going to break a couple of down.
Okay, now the one on the bus, are you in there?
Yeah, that's me and Mario.
So you couldn't have been drawing what you were seeing there.
I was trying to see, so the camera is somewhere else, so analyze the space, because basically a train is like a box like that, right?
And we're looking down on that box.
Right. And I'm just imagining, what if the camera is right here? Like, that's the field of view then.
Got it.
And you have these seats like here.
Wonderful.
So if you have all these corners, you could sort of see the space. And on here I open it a little bit more. But if I would draw this again, so these are the corners of the sketchbook, right? Just to do a little breakdown. If I would draw this again, I would actually play into the warp here a little bit more.
So those are some of the same lines up above, except now you're making them more bowing out.
Right. So as long as they keep following.
So this is as much design and layout of the picture as it is defining the space. You're making these lines look graceful.
Actually, it's better if this seat was like here, and here could be the door going down. And you can see that in this little thumbnail that I did here, it looks way more dynamic than actually in the book, because that's how I would draw it again. And you can see here the corners of the box, because if you would keep drawing this, then here and here. And then if you see that in your head, then you can start drawing the figures in there.
And you're thinking similarly with the figures. You're looking down at that person. That's why you put that little bit of the top of their head there.
Yeah, the top plane. I mentioned I really like boxes because they're easy to identify the corners from. And here I think I have my sketchbook in my hand here.
When a person sees the work at the left that's finished, they may not know that this is what's going on inside the head of the person drawing it. You're giving us secret knowledge.
I'm actually also looking at this one and sort of what I wanted to do if I would do it again. So like, this is not something I could do off the bat. Usually when you draw it again, it's better. But you can add the windows here to reinforce that perspective going back, right? And there was a person standing here, whatever he's doing there. So as you can see now, you can sort of build the scene and add more people. Like you could even add like a pole here going through the scene or something. Like, you know, the ones with the rails to hold your hands on or something.
Yeah.
As long as it follows those lines, it should work.
You've got basically three sets of lines. The ones going up and down, the ones going off to the left, and the ones going off to the right, and all three bow.
Yes. Just as a gesture in a figure, there should be a gesture in your entire composition, if that makes sense. So everything can sort of go in one direction. And here, the figure standing here should bulge in that direction as well. Like here, there's two of them. But as you can see, here it is like that. If I had, like, I would draw in my sketchbook like that. Like I would add more seats to the back, but I would do it in that fashion.
Oh, it's great to see this. It's great to see the behind-the-scenes thinking.
So here it is basically. It feels like more square box. Like here is a seat. Here's a different seat. Like I'm sort of exaggerating it here, but it's just to make a point. That would be how I think about it. If this would be the back of the seat, the cube, right? And then you just have stuff coming out here. And everything would be working in this sort of like exploding box.
This is your exploding box idea, that you've got an image of the environment.
Right. And here, like I'm even exaggerating it more in here. So if you would put things around it, it's like in my sketch, it's not even as exaggerated as I do here, but I'm just pushing it. But all those people jumping out there, basically, they can vary from this. And when I'm sitting here, so this would be, I'm going to draw it a little bit more back than we are in the drawing, right? Just to.
So the camera's up above your head?
Yeah, it's the same, like, but the drawing is actually confined to this area.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just drawing outside of it, just to more make sense. And then here would be the cup with my hand, if that makes sense. And then here would be me holding the spoon. And here would be my shirt. So, but it's basically this idea, see? Like, and you can add as much details as you want here.
Can you do a little diagram of the exploding box?
Yeah. So if the entire exploding, like the circle, would be this, we're only like right here because the entire thing is morphing like that because we're looking down on it. And then in this, it would probably be here. But this is basically that.
So when you do a detailed drawing like at the left, you are thinking as simply as at the lower right, but that you might start with what you've got in the upper right.
Yes.
To place things.
Exactly. You can make this anything you want as long as the lines keep following.
The lines conform.
Yeah, exactly. The next one, this is more of a flat, it's basically...
Basic 2-point perspective, isn't it?
Right, yeah, this one isn't too far-fetched.
And our eye level is right across the guy's head?
Yeah. So it would be like, that's sort of, like I'm doing it a little bit more perspective than it is, but like these pillars.
Fearless, inform, basic, simple.
Yeah, and that's actually what you should be thinking. And since the horizon line is probably somewhere here as well.
If the horizon line is horizontal, the ones above it will aim down as they go away. The ones below it will aim up. We even have a song.
Looking up, lines go down. Looking down, lines go up.
I actually like doing these again. This is a great idea because I can also improve on and see what I would have done better. And here, they're above, so you can see slightly the bottom.
And then after you get down to the floor,
right.
I'm going to ask you a question about the characters.
So when I think about characters, I actually think really in terms of simple.
That's the question I was going to ask, is that you're applying the perspective to the environment, which is obvious. But this guy with the backpack...
You can see the perspective is a little bit different here, but I kind of like it here more because I got to take my idea and actually be more clear. And if you want to add like details here for the floor, as long as you add lines that work alongside that, you can basically do whatever detail you want there. And the deer standing right here. Sort of standing on this edge. I'll just cheat a little bit and prolong that edge. Something like that.
Yeah.
And actually I like this way more than that. You feel the perspective much more here. So it's very good to take your drawings like I'm doing right here and just draw them again and just try to play with the perspective a little bit more.
Okay, so this environment and then putting characters in it. And with the deer, you are thinking a little bit of a box there. It looks like on the top plane of the back of the deer, you've got a plane break there.
Yeah, more of a this sort of like a slice of cake.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does.
And then you have the sections of the deer.
How would you do the neck of that deer going into into its forequarters? No, the one to the left of it.
Oh.
Yeah, how does that neck fit in there? Okay, so your one line made it so that the forequarters are a kind of a box, and then the neck fits right into it.
And here you have the muscle here, the sternocleidomastoideus. It's usually the muscle you mention when you bracket, anatomy, because that's the longest name. You can start adding side view, all this detail. If I were to pull these lines, probably I'll come to the vanishing point. It's partly here somewhere.
Getting the vanishing points in this case is not that important. If those lines are credible enough to where they look like they're going away. Is that correct?
Yeah, you just imagine the point off screen and then you can sort of draw whatever. Because if there was a box here or something like that's floating, right? Then you could easily establish it like that, because then you can see the bottom plane, right? Degas had a fantastic drawing of a ballerina, and I really liked it because I'm going to try to draw it for an imagination. Bear with me. And the feet went like this, and the other one went like this. I think she had her with arms to the back. But what I liked is, so this was pointing towards that vanishing point, and this feet to plant them on the ground. And I really like that.
It just establishes a solid floor.
I mean, you can do it as well when the feet are like this as well, right? Because then they're on the same line. But I really like that he put his feet pointing in that direction. It's just a simple example.
All right, let's look at another.
Is this one, the musicians? This was really a very quick sketch, but I think you can see the box. The stage is basically the exploding box that they're on, right?
You are so familiar with the box that you get your structure of your space down quickly.
Yeah, it's very important. And then this figure in it, I could do the Degas thing actually, which is more clever. So I'm reminding myself for the future. This bass here.
All that detail on the guitar and all that detail of the musician's face and all that, all you care about is where his body and guitar and head are in position to this box.
More or less, yeah. So let's see here.
And tell me about the more or less. You're also caring about the design.
Yes, you have to. That first. I really like this vignetting that Dean Cornwell, like all those. So I always think about it, what would this look like as a painting as well, when the shapes are filled in with a color, or just like a mass, the silhouette. And I think a lot of the design in this sort of images has to do with the silhouette. And actually, they see, like, I made a mistake here in the drawing, and I prolonged the stage alto drum set doesn't fit.
Oh, yeah.
and this guy, it's basically like his spine is turning. It's like looking to the back.
Doesn't bother you that the drum set didn't fit?
It did.
Oh, it did bother you?
Because basically when I was drawing this, I was in the bar itself. Like there was a live band playing. I think he's holding his plectrum right here.
You were not seeing it from this position?
No. I was messing around. And that's what I like about these boxes, because if you do it for the head, then you can see, even in a sketch, this is how I would storyboard actually. Like pretty much like this. Even if you add this guy on the chair here, so I would think about a box. That's great to break it down, actually.
You've done this so many times, it would seem like this is nothing new to you. It's new to some students to see somebody go at these lines so easily and so quickly. But you enjoy looking at the drawing and then going back to...
Improve it, sort of, yeah. So another one might be this one, and I thought this one might be interesting. So right here, what I'm doing is... And usually what I do is, if there's a space for the perspective lines, if this is your first one, if this is your last one, I take half, and then half of half, and then half of half.
Okay, so you just eyeball it that way.
Yes. It's like in animation, you have your key, and you have your other key, and then you start with the breakdown, and then you start the in-between. That's why you see in animation drawings these charts always on the side. It's like how close they should be, but I use it for perspective lines. So for instance, if this is your first pull and this is your last, I just eyeball in the middle and in the middle and in the middle of that middle. And then you just like pretty quickly, without having to do all of these things, if you learned that. So you get to eyeball it, so I get to skip that phase, and usually it works.
It's close enough, right? It's not accurate, but...
It's not accurate, but it's close enough when you're doing these quick sketches. It looks believable enough.
That is part of why in this perspective course, we are delaying those accurate measurements until late so that you just learn to see and estimate and say, I want it like this. And then we'll say, well, there is a way that you can be scientific about it, but only when you have to, which in that case you'd probably build it in 3D anyway, or you want to train your eye for more precision now that you've learned to do it by instinct. Sometimes training in science first, then instinct, but sometimes instinct first, then refine it with the science.
Part 1 of my perspective course is finished, ready for you to begin your journey at proko.com/perspective. Part 2 is happening right now, and I hope you will join us. And a great compliment to my course is REMBERT'S Practical Perspective. Take a look at what we get to see him draw with over-the-shoulder insight. REMBERT'S course at proko.com/REMBERT. And during the summer sale, all courses are 20% off, now through July 6th.
I'm not saying this is the right way of doing things. This is just shorthands that I sort of found out by sketching. Whatever Marshall says is the correct way. This is the punk rock way.
There are many ways, depending on the problem at hand.
So here you can see sort of this box logic coming back.
I can. So you got lines going off to the right, lines going off to the left, lines going up and down. And the ones going up and down.
And on the bottom, if I wanted to, you can do it like this. And everything is based on this huge box that we're looking into.
Students, this is box not as a form, but as an environment. This is a box as a setting, and the inside of the box is the setting. We'll get into more detail on that in a later part of this course because we'll curve into cylindrical settings as well, what they look like outside and inside.
So yeah, this is that actually. I should have drawn this first.
Great, I'm glad you did that one.
Yeah, this is actually more clear than that one. That's the idea, yeah.
Okay, any others that you want to do?
Oh, here it is.
There it is. That's the one. Double page spread. Boy, that's so big. It's going to be hard to do. But you can give us a little.
No, I can do it because I started as a thumbnail, so I can reconstruct it.
You did not do pencil drawing before that. You went right at it with the ink.
Yeah, I went right at it with the ink. But the thumbnail I did was also in ink. But I did make a thumbnail, and it was something like this. Because here you see all those boxes in the foreground, like going. And then these. So I'm thinking about this. So if I would take a real big step back, it would probably look like something like this, if that makes sense. And the drawing just happens to be in this space, but this is the box. And then you're not thinking about vanishing points so much. And this character here, it's like it's getting knocked back with the shield. Feet. See here, I'm doing the Degas thing. Feet to this side, and that one is pointing away. And the thing he's standing on is, you can just follow it like that.
So our eye is above that, and we can look down into the top plane.
Yeah, because the horizon line would be right here. Well, lower, excuse me. It's like right here. Because in the image, it's pretty low, but it goes pretty high.
Now, all these lines that are going away are going to a center vanishing point?
Yes. It's probably somewhere here. But they're curving as well, as you see. That sort of draws you in. It's like here. And then this character, of course, when you see her feet, let me draw that again. Horizon line is here. And the girl has, she's on high heels, but let me just draw her with her both feet on the ground. So you can see, and here you can see up. Like everything else is sort of like so. And she has the dot right here. So down, let's see. And then if you look at it at a box, and then here is more like up. And as the boxes go down, you see less and less of the bottom plane. And here you would see the top of the plane.
This is very useful.
And same for her right here, because here if every detail should wrap around like this. And here, since you're above, it starts going up. And you could probably see your chin. So
now that horse, however, you're looking up at the horse, and yet you see part of the top of its head because it's turned its head down. Could you give us a quick analysis of the horse up there?
Oh, sure. Well, the horse is actually, remember at the start when I said that no matter what you draw, I was like, I'm going to do like a quick... So no matter what you draw, if you put a perspective on it, then suddenly, how did you say it again? It doesn't have anything to do with the perspective. So
the setting doesn't know anything about the position of the figure, and the figure doesn't know or care anything about the position of the setting. They're two separate things, so they can be on two separate systems.
And that's basically the deal with the horse as well.
Because the horse's body we're looking up at.
Yeah, if I were to draw the horse again, probably I would be more aware of this.
That's its left leg.
And maybe like let it curve as well with the perspective. And even if you do the tail, of course not like that, but more organic. And then let's see what is like that. I mean, this is pretty crude, right?
But you're making the point that you are thinking about
Perspective
an
more.
encasing form.
Yeah,
that has some straight lines on it.
I didn't do that in the...
Students, if you get anything out of this, you get permission to sketch freely and loosely and use what you're learning.
Let me try it here in the context. So
up at that and then down at that. And it twisted that neck a bit.
Yeah, I did it even more in the drawing, but always exaggerate. Like my animation teacher once said, go as far as you can and then double it. Like, because then your drawings will stop looking so stiff. Like, see if this looks a little bit better because you can see the bottom plane more. And then probably you can add more horses here.
You sure could, and you are. That one at the left, I really like.
This one?
Yeah.
It's more of a classic. That's not too crazy.
Kid getting scolded
for having...
not being a good student.
I'm looking at more from the side, but that's basically a school window. Well, that's from the side. Like, I think it's more front on. It's like Rockwell would do more front on things.
Yes.
Like that.
He broke his space very often into rectangles so that everything's quite safe and flat and laid out, like you would shoot a sitcom.
And that makes it actually harder, because you don't have depth to help you create interest. So you have to do it with the characters themselves.
So again, with something like that, you're thinking all sorts of things, but one of them is, how do I fit them into their place? And you get started with it. This theme is coming through.
If I would draw it again, I would probably never draw the same thing the same way twice.
I've heard great musicians say that they can play the Beethoven sonatas, but they never play them the same way twice because every new time is an exploration.
The funny thing is when in classical music it says cadenza, that actually means improvised.
Right, and then the cadenza gets frozen in stone, so everybody plays the cadenza that somebody did a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, you don't do that.
So this is basically like...
That's a pretty simple 2-point perspective, but with a little bowing and a little bit of 3-point.
A little
bit. Adding some 3-point in there.
Oh yeah, this one.
Oh yeah, because that's another one where you've not only spread it out left to right, you've spread it out top to bottom. Look at how far down we're looking on those tables, and yet we're looking up into the umbrella. So show us a simplified diagram of how you do that.
So that's the middle of the paper. So here there's a little bit of a warp on the thing. I'm just gonna exaggerate this like as much as I can. So it's sort of a tube you're looking through. And then the horizon line.
So those are all lines going away from our face to level.
You start to see the depth, and then if you add a circle here and one here.
And that one here is deeper.
Yeah, well, it's actually bigger.
Closer underneath our feet, toward our feet.
Of course, ellipses are always the bane of my existence.
Really? You don't...
I fail on them many times in school.
Yeah, but you've got the big thing, which is that the closer they get to you, the more open they are, and the further they go to the horizon, the more they squish up.
Yeah. Again, I'm doing it better here actually than in the actual. Because, this could be anything right now. Again, remember with perspective, do it 1/2, and then half off, and half off. Like the spaces are going away from each other. So that's what I'm sort of doing here. It can be even more bigger, like you can see the side planes. And then you can just, with the thing that I established, you can add figures here. And here, for example, you have the big one like this. And then you can do
the same thing as they go away from above. Now we're looking up into those ones.
Yeah.
And then we're looking down into the others.
And here's a pole in the foreground. Oh, I know I didn't do that, but that would be cool. It's possible. And then here are all those houses in the distance.
I think if a student was just to watch you do analyses like this for a few hours, or even just the amount of time we've taken, they will see how you create this illusion with such rudimentary tools.
And these all could be like figures standing there, and they can go to the back. But it's just, as you see, the eye line is here. So as long as all the heads converge to that point, then it sort of makes sense. And you can add as many people as you want.
To show us what you're thinking with the dog. How are you approaching that dog?
Something like that. Well, the dog was very rapidly sketched.
Yeah.
It's not the best dog.
There it is. That dog looks like we're looking down on it, and it's standing on the ground. Great.
Yeah, it's like the box plane.
Okay.
Yeah, and then here you can still go in that axis as well, you know. If I would have played that more in my drawing, that would have probably helped. Yeah, there's a street in here. This is actually a real place. It's in Leuven in Belgium. This is not imaginary. Anyone who is from that area will know it. And then no matter what detail is on this table, as long as it follows this sort of gesture, right, then it should be fine. Like, you just compare.
You mentioned storyboarding. You do a lot of storyboarding?
Yeah, that's basically my job.
You've done them for games and movies and animation?
Yep.
Do you go from script to storyboard?
Exactly, yes.
So that means all they're giving you is words.
Yep, and that's the fun part. I mean, the less words they give you, the more freedom I have.
So when they gave you words here, you start comping it out. And is that where you start, or do you start with something even simpler than that?
I start with something simpler than
Show
this.
us what you do.
So I'll just do a quick frame, right? Not necessarily these ones, just how I would start something, right? So you have your square, and then I would decide, okay, where's the horizon line? Always important. And I would leave the frame, like so. And see, like, now that I established this, like, I'm thinking about horizon lines that are off screen, but I usually do a little bit of noise like this, just to hammer home the feeling of the space, because that won't matter that much later.
A little noise.
Because the noise will help me.
It's harmonic noise.
Because it feels like it's adding detail to the image, but it's actually not doing anything. It's not really indicating anything.
It's like scat singing that can turn into words later.
Yeah, exactly. So now I can just use that as a window or something. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here could be some bookshelves or something. I would actually put a foreground element here. And usually when I sort of darken that, then I go in the same direction as the perspective. Everything that can help me sell the perspective, I will use.
So even if it's just some wall or portion of a wall, it helps add to the space.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps frame the action, right? It's telling you to look inside this area. Is that part of why you put that in there?
Yeah. It sort of frames the... And then if I had a marker or something, then I could, like... Because usually this would be digital, right? The curtains or something.
You seem to be doing fine with a pen.
See,
Do you do your storyboarding digital, or do you start this way?
I usually start in digital.
Because it's just faster?
Yeah, it's faster iteration, but I sometimes when I'm really stuck and I go with my sketchbook, I would do them... I would do thumbnails like this and then scan them, because I can just put this on an opacity lower and then just keep drawing on it and adding details. I usually don't throw away these thumbnails. When I detail the boards, I just do it on top of these thumbnails. So why would I want to lose all these gestural lines?
Right.
Like, you want to keep them. This could be a painting here or something. An Edgar painting with a low horizon line.
Okay. So that's looking down on a scene. And if you were looking up on a scene... you would, like you have the person who's drawing their sword over there, although that doesn't show a lot of the environment.
Well, it sort of does. So the drawing itself is, like I said, like we talked before, it's just the environment that is looking up.
So those are height lines going off, up, and away to a point somewhere.
There's a closet here or something. But no matter what you do, this figure now... And if you draw the eyes a little bit higher than even I did. Then it will still feel, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Block up the character's chest a little bit so we can see, yeah. So you run that curved line
to show that we are looking up at an organic form, even though you got cloth over it in the other version.
So in a more spatial term, I'll draw that chest again. So this would be the chest, and it's a kit, so... going up. I mean, it doesn't look like a kid because I made the shapes a little bit.
Yeah, more mature.
Yeah,
bigger chest.
Actually, if I would try to draw it again, I would tilt the head a little bit more. And I could see the bottom of the chin right here, and then the ear could be lower. If you're looking up at someone, then you draw the ear lower. And if you put it in that brick, see, it's even better now pushed than here.
So again, this character does not know or care about the lines behind it, and the lines behind it don't care about the character, but we are looking up at both.
Yeah, this would be better actually. See now, especially with these lines going off. Yeah.
Remember, this was very useful. Thank you for setting such a great example.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to go over my own drawings again and then just correcting myself or pushing perspectives further. And I would recommend everyone doing that with their drawings. Just it's like, what if I push this a little bit? You learn something that you can take in your next drawings, and then you keep pushing yourself a little bit, and that's how you get better. Or whatever better means, you know?
If people want to find you on the internet.
That is on Instagram. That's actually the only avenue where I post my sketches. There is ArtStation for the more finished stuff or my storyboards, but the Instagram is solely reserved for sketches because that's my outlet there.
Okay, students, you can buy Rembert's book, look at his work. You have seen him show you behind the scenes secrets, and may you go and do likewise in your own styles. Thank you.
Amen.
Get Rembert's Practical Perspective course at proko.com/Rembert. You'll also find a live workshop with Rembert that starts on June 27th. Get a seat for live critiques and Q&As. Go now for those 20% off summer savings. Rembert draws. See Rembert draw. Draw, Rembert, draw. Draw, draw, draw. Draw, draw, draw.